Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Sekas Tutorial. This video is going to be the continuous part of Angular component session. If you have missed the previous session, the link is given above. So today's session is all about Angular component decorator. The demo application is already running in port number 4201 and I have opened it in the browser. So now let me open this test component. As I mentioned earlier, a component can have three sections. One is the import section, then the component decorator, and then the class itself. When I say a component decorator, that means this decorator configuration is applied on this class, the immediate class next to this decorator. Okay, so now let me go through one by one through these properties. First is the selector that I already have mentioned in my previous sessions. So when I use this app test tag in any place, in that place this component's HTML will be rendered and the business logic behind it will be triggered. So in our app component, let me use this app test. In the browser, now you are seeing the app components HTML. Now let me add app test component along with it, just under the router outlet. Save it. Compilation done. It is reloading. Now see. So this rest of contents are from test component. So this is clearly a selector which can be reused. So if I copy this and paste it again, it will be rendered twice. So in a word, a component is a building block which can be reused. Next is template URL. So we either can use template URL or we can use simple template property. So if we are going to use any external HTML file for this component, then we have to use template URL. Otherwise we can use template property. If I use a template property, then we need to pass the content here itself, like template, then the template within it, like div some content. Now let me compile it and see it in the browser. See, so that is how we can use a template property or a template URL property. Similar way we can have style URLs or styles. So if we use style URLs, that property can take array of styles, in other words array of external style sheet pages. In this example it is pointing to test.component.cs, that means this file. So in this file I have added some style and that style is applicable for this component by default. Along with that, if I want to pass another style sheet, then we have to separate it out by comma and then other style sheet URL you can add there. Okay, but if we want to add styles here by styles property, that we also can do. So styles can take an array of style properties, like if I want to put some style on a div, then div, then the definition, color of text can be red. Now see, the color is red for the used div, this div color, sorry, here. So here I have a div and the color of the content is red. So that is how we can use styles properties. It can be an array, so I can separate it out by other styles here. Okay, so that is how we can use a styles property. Now important thing is this encapsulation property. So encapsulation specifies how the template and the styles should be encapsulated. So before we start with encapsulation, we should know the concept of shadow DOM. It is shadow DOM. It basically allows us to hide DOM logic behind other elements. Addition to that, it enables us to apply scoped styles to elements without exposing them out to outer world. Angular comes with View Encapsulation built in, which enables us to use shadow DOM or even to emulate it. It can have three possible values here. One is emulated, another is native, another one is none. So these three have three different meaning. So as I said, this style or styles URL property is applicable only on the test component and its view. Now if I want to apply the style globally, that means if I write any style here and that style if I want to apply on all over the page, then we need to use none. Now see, every div is styled with the given style over here, and now if you inspect, you will see how the style is implemented. See, the style is declared in the head section, and simply it is mentioning that all div has to be styled with these properties. Now by default encapsulation is emulated. Now see what happens when I use emulated. Only the related component is getting the style. In background, how it is done, see, if I inspect this division, see, Angular has added this ng content -c0, this attribute to app test. Now it has scoped within it ng content c1. Okay, so I need to find ng content c1. Okay, this one. So ng content c1, this attribute has been added here, and the style is only applicable to ng content c1. So if it is a div and if it has an attribute ng content c1, only there this style will be applicable. So this is the emulated option of view encapsulation. And now the concept of shadow DOM is applied by using native option. So here we have a native shadow DOM view encapsulation. No styles are written in the document head anymore. However, styles do now end up in the components template inside the shadow DOM root. If you inspect now, you will see here. So app test is created, but it has a shadow DOM. So shadow DOM does not inherit any style defined in the head or anywhere in the document body. Rather, it has its own style. See, and that style does not goes out of the scope, and any style does not come into the scope. So this is how we can implement view encapsulation.native. If we don't pass any value or if we don't mention this property name, by default it takes emulated. Now let's see what we can do with animation property. By the way, to use this view encapsulation, we have to import this view encapsulation constant from Angular core library. Okay, now to use animation property, we have to import these libraries from Angular animation package. Let me uncomment that. See how we can use a animation property. Animation property actually takes array of several triggers. Okay, so each trigger defines some animation. We need to give a name to the animation and then the state transitions. So here how we have mentioned a initial state and then the next state, and then how we can transit it to the from the first state to the last state. Here what I want to do is I have created a small state which has a size of scale 1, and I defined a large state which has a size of 1.2. Now the transition is going to be from small to large, and the animation duration is 100 milliseconds, and the effect is in. Okay, now we have to bind this animation into the view. So my animation event, see how I have binded it in the test component. So this div has this my animation event binded, and the value I can toggle by passing a parameter to it. So current state is the parameter. So based on the current state, I can pass if the property will be small or large, and the animation will be triggered. I mean the state change will be triggered based on the click event. So I have a animate me function. Now here I have defined in the business logic or in the class. So animate me function, what it does is actually if the state is small, then toggling it to large, and if it is large, then toggling it back to small. So on click it will change the current state, and based on that it will trigger the animation. Now let me save it. It is getting saved and code is compiling. Yeah, compiled. Now see it in the browser. Now if I click on this click to animate, see it is getting large, and on clicking it again it is becoming smaller. So that is how we can implement this animation property. Along with that we can have providers property. So if I want to bring in some service, that I need to import it and then I need to provide it here. It can take an array. Next we have preserve white spaces. This one is a beautiful feature to tune up the performance of Angular application. It can be true or false. So what it does is, if the value is set to false, unnecessary whitespace characters will be removed from the compiled template. This improves the performance definitely. And next we can have view providers. View providers are very similar to providers, but this defines the set of injectable objects that are visible to its view DOM children. So in simple word, what it actually does is, we can inject a service which has dependency on a specific service into the view. Okay, now there are two properties, or I can say three properties, which are now discourages. Angular does not encourage you to use these properties this way. Rather, they encourage to use by using this @input decorator. So I will tell you the purpose of these three properties. One is to take some input into your component, and another one, the outputs array, is to trigger some event to the outer scope of your component. So array of class property names to data bind as component are inputs, and array of class property names that exposes output events that others can subscribe to is called outputs. But these can be defined by creating decorators. But to use these two properties, we have to import input and output decorator definitions. Okay, and we can have a host property as well. Host map of class properties to host element bindings for any event or property or any attribute. You also can have host events within your class. And finally we can have change detection strategy. So by default it uses change detection strategy .default, and to use this you need to import change detection strategy constant from Angular core library. Okay, the purpose is change detection strategy used by this component is Angular perform some change detection on all components. It should be from top to bottom. Every time something changes in the application from due to user event or any data received from network request, change detection is actually very performant. But as an app gets more complex and the amount of component grows, change detection will have to perform more and more work. There is a way around that. However, if we set the change detection strategy to on push on a specific component, this will instruct Angular to run change detection on these components and their subtree only when new references are passed to them, versus when the data is simply muted. So that one is very much useful for performance tuning for large scale applications. Okay, so these are very commonly used properties for a component decorator. So yeah, that's all. So you can try these property names one by one at your own, and if you face any question or trouble, you can always ask me in the comment section. Okay, so that's it. If you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.